look how rotten that is. And it's spreading to the leaf there as well. I'm gonna just leave it on. Making jokes to cover up my pain. Oh my goodness, this is exciting. Is this just about to brighten my day? So I know I said I was gonna wait a couple of weeks to give you any updates with my imported plants, but things are happening. Bad things are happening. Did your heart just break a little bit? Because mine did. Yeah, I can't wait 2 weeks. I've got to talk through some things with you today because I don't know what to do. So this is gonna be kind of like a plant chores rehab video. But yeah, first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Joli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learnt over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, I've also got lots of other plant chores to do, so we're gonna pack a lot into today's video, but this is the thing that I'm gonna be starting with. So yes, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So yeah, it goes without saying that this is what I want to start with. This is the beautiful Anthurium veitchii that I showed you in my Arrowed Market unboxing very recently. I mean, at the point of me filming this now, 4 days ago. I don't even have the words right now. How amazing is that? So a lot has happened in 4 days, and I've said it before, but with importing, this is very, very, very common and you don't always see the issues right away. I know I said when I was doing the Arrowed Market unboxing, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like the best unboxing ever. Like nothing was wrong with anything. It was already perfect. And I did say in that video that that is a rarity, like that doesn't usually happen. And in this case, so the day after I unboxed it, I started noticing these brown patches appearing on some of the leaves. And I thought that that was probably cold damage. It has been quite cold here in the UK. And considering this plant has probably come from, I mean, it's come from Indonesia, but it's probably come from specialised conditions in greenhouses and optimum light, optimum heat, all that sort of stuff, to being put in the post and sent out for, I think it was 4 days in total. And 4 days isn't that long, but I think it's enough time for damage to set in. So yeah, initially I just thought this was cold damage, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let kind of what's happened here, I'm just gonna let this leaf kind of crisp up, do its thing, and then I'll probably just trim round those areas. And although the leaves aren't gonna look as pretty, at least then they'll still be able to photosynthesize from this bit and things will be fine. However, I went back to check on this plant yesterday. I've kind of been looking at it and thinking, should I do anything, should I not? I went back to look at it yesterday and I was just looking at this leaf and I kind of like lifted it up slightly just to see, like just to have a look underneath, and it came off at the base. Like if you have a look just there, you can see it started to rot, and this is really, really scary as, I was going to say as a plant parent. This is something that you don't want to see because this can be the thing that brings down your plant incredibly quickly. And with the Anthurium veitchii, the last time I had a veitchii, this is what happened. This is what brought down my plant, and I've just got the most beautiful, perfect one in the world and it's already going wrong. So I just want to make sure that hopefully I've caught it soon enough and it is dealable. So yeah, what I've done so far, and I did actually, I'll put some clips on screen, but I did actually record how I did this. What I decided to do, I wanted to grow this one in Lechuza pon just because I think pon is great for anthuriums. I've had lots of very good positive experiences growing anthuriums in it so far. It is typically much harder to overwater. There's loads of pros that I've banged on about in lots of other videos. But I didn't have a tower pot that was going to be big enough to accommodate the massive, massive root system it has, because, oh my God, the roots were crazy. So what I've done is I've just wrapped some polycarbonate sheeting. This is the stuff that I use usually to make the back of moss poles. I just wrapped that around and put that inside a normal pot, just like that. And I've essentially created a bigger tower pot. That felt like the right thing to do at the time. I don't think this is down to anything that I've done that this is happening. We'll obviously find out as we take a closer look, but I would have thought this is probably, as I say, been probably temperature differences, and then I don't know. But yeah, I thought I would just start this video by talking you through what was happening, and yeah, I guess now we can get the potting mat out and have a look and see if it's savable. Oh my goodness, it's just so beautiful, and it's still got some leaves. Like this leaf here looks really healthy, and that one hasn't been affected too much, so I'm hoping that even if I do lose some leaves, even if I lose all the leaves, I will still be able to save the plant. But yeah, I'm going to get my potting mat out and we can have a look together and hopefully get to the bottom of it. Joli's sat right behind the camera and she keeps looking like she's going to knock the tripod. I don't know if she actually is. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? I've also brought over a pair of scissors in case I need to do some chopping back, and I have brought a little knife as well, a sharp knife that I'm going to put safely under the table so it doesn't get Joli'd. Just because if the rot has spread further down, I may need to do some chopping of chunks, and I hope I don't have to, but I might have to. This table is also far too small to be doing this at. I think I'm going to make a mess today. But yeah, so I'm gonna just empty out all of the semi-hydro. I think emptying it into another container would actually be a better idea than emptying it straight out here, because then, as I say, I'm gonna make a big mess. So I'm gonna just get a bigger pot. God, I'm very unprepared for this video today. I am sorry. I just saw this last night and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I need to do something about it. And it was like 10 o'clock at night and I was like, I don't want to start doing it now. I'll do it first thing in the morning. And that is what I'm doing. So yes. How am I going to do this? How did I think I was going to do this before? No, that's not going to work. In my mind, I thought it'd be easy to just kind of tip, maybe. Okay, there's water going all over the table. A lot of water going all over the table. I also hate to be disturbing the roots this soon, because obviously it's been less than a week since I've had the plant. Okay, the good news is the roots are looking really good. They're still looking really good. It's this section here that I'm worried about. So, okay, I can see another one that's rotten just here. Yeah, that leaf just literally pulled away. Yeah, just look, you can see the rot. So that's a lovely leaf I'm having to say goodbye to as well. I'm wondering if I can do something with these leaves. I have pressed leaves before. Obviously these ones are a little bit crinkly and crunchy, so I'm not sure what could be done. If anyone's got any creative ideas, please let me know. Okay, so what I can see is the top of the chunk just there. That feels quite squidgy and a little bit rotty. So I just need to figure out how far that goes down and how much it spreads, because if that hasn't spread, or it hasn't spread too far, then almost certainly this plant will be savable. And I am actually going to use the knife straight away. I'm going to chop into it and just see how it feels. Oh, it does go quite far down. Oh, this would be such a shame if I can't get this plant back. Okay. Oh, that's the lovely, this is so sad. That's the lovely leaf that I was like, oh, that one looks fine. Maybe that one will be okay. This is really sad. Okay, well I can definitely do some kind of leaf preservation with that, maybe make a lovely skeleton leaf. I can't even think about that at the moment. Okay, right, let's see if any more is salvageable. The good news is half of the point at which that just broke off is still lovely and white. It's the bit around it that is brown and rotten. So so maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope. So I'm having to chop really far down in the chunk. And so far it's not looking good. That's Ross's coffee machine. He's got a very fancy and very loud coffee machine, and it suddenly makes weird noises. And I'm not sure how to make that noise stop. There goes another leaf. Honestly, this is the saddest day. I was so excited about this plant. It's kind of like, when I say the downside to importing, obviously, yes, it is absolutely a risk you take when you import, that things can go very wrong. And certain plants are just going to respond differently. And like I said in the original video, it does depend on things like the time of year. Things can look fine initially and then they're not. But it does kind of make you think, should we be importing plants? Because when this happens, I mean, I'm obviously going to import plants again. This isn't me saying I'm never going to do it again. But it's so upsetting when this happens. And this plant was fine in Indonesia. It was fine. It was growing beautifully. I mean, I know if it isn't me that bought it, it would have been somewhere else around the world that bought it, and the same thing could have happened. But it's a living thing, and it genuinely makes me so sad. It really makes me sad, and I feel bad about it. Even though I don't think, by the looks of it, there's much I could have done to save it. I keep thinking I've reached the point where the rot finishes, and it just goes on and on and on. Okay, I've been trying to kind of gradually dig it out. And although that bit just there, that looks lovely and full and white, that bit is not good. And that does go all the way down the side, I can see. So really, I think I've kind of got to be a bit brutal here. I think I've got to probably chop most of this in half, which means I'm going to lose all of the leaves. I would say I could try propagating that top section as a separate cut because it will have roots. I will obviously try it, but it doesn't. That's the point. It's rotten. So yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, guys. Also, I'm aware I have positioned the camera badly. I set this up so quickly because I just wanted to get on and try and save the plant. So there we go. I hope you can see a little bit better now. I'm gonna slice straight through here. It's done. Okay, so I've now got, oh, even the bottom's rotten. Okay, let's deal with that in a second. So I've now got this top section here, which has got a lot of rot on it, all through the middle there. Very healthy roots, but all of that is pretty soft. And then I've got this bottom section, which again has lovely roots, doesn't have any foliage, and is fairly rotten. This isn't, okay, it's not great. I was going to say it's not awful. Some bits don't look as bad, but then if you look there, Look at that. I don't know if anything is going to grow from this. I think it's quite unlikely, to be honest. As I say, I will obviously give it a go, and I will obviously keep my fingers crossed. But it's not looking amazing so far. So what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna pot either of these sections up straight away. I'm gonna give both a root prune, because obviously they don't need a massive great root system now that they're not supporting that much growth. And then I'm gonna probably put this is me just kind of thinking out loud and figuring this out as I go. But I think what I'll probably do, I'm gonna be really brutal here. I'm gonna just chop a lot of root back. I know I'm losing a lot of healthy root here, but what's it supporting? Not a lot. So, right, that's my new root system for this little chunk, which is a little bit rotten, but you know what? You know what? There might be some hope here. Might be some hope. So what I'm gonna do, this is what my gut's telling me. I'm gonna submerge the roots in sphagnum moss. I'm gonna try and keep those roots lovely and hydrated. And I'm gonna leave the top completely exposed. And I'm probably gonna do this for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, something like that. Just because I would like it to callus as much as possible. I know there's a tiny bit of dark still on there. But sometimes if it's exposed to oxygen for long enough, it's kind of like doing a hydrogen peroxide treatment. In fact, it is literally exactly the same as doing a hydrogen peroxide treatment, and it can just stop rot in its tracks. So you never know, maybe that will work. And then, yeah, I'm gonna probably do the same for this section with 2 slightly battered looking leaves on it. I might just give the roots a very little trim here. I don't think they need a major trim. Okay, yeah, so that's my second bit, and under normal circumstances, considering the way these leaves are going, I'd probably trim them back, but I think I'm gonna keep them. I think I'm gonna let them be just for the time being, because this plant has obviously gone through quite a lot of trauma and I don't want to hack it to bits any more than I have to. Oh my goodness, I've just pulled a bit more back and there's more rot. No. As I say, I don't think this section, in fact, there's no point in me even keeping that leaf. You can see it's rotten underneath it. Yeah, and it's just pulled straight off. Okay, so this now has one leaf. Whew. I'm gonna take a moment, I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna have a clear up and I'm gonna set up to pot these sections up in the kitchen and hope that they're savable. I've saved plants that have been in worse conditions, arguably, so I think there's a chance here. But yeah, okay, right, let's have a clear up.
Oh dear. They're normally connected to soil, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is that all of them?
Pretty much.
Oh, you were so excited about this plant, and now I think it looks
Philodendron. Okay, right, we're all good. It's gonna be fine. I'm assuming these jars I've chosen are gonna be roughly the right size. I think they're gonna be roughly the right size. I wanted to use jars just so that I've got something transparent and I can monitor the roots, because often, actually more often than not, this kind of rot will start at the roots and then spread up. but obviously in this case it has started at the trunk and is spreading down. So I want to make sure that the roots don't start to rot. Mind you, if the roots start to rot, then there's really nothing I can do. So defeats the point entirely I was trying to make. But, so, as I say, I'm going to just use sphagnum moss to keep the roots nice and hydrated. And usually, with Anthurium, I'd be saying, oh, and I'll wrap it around the top as well to activate some growth points up there. But as I say, with the rots, I'm just not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk it at all. In fact, I might trim these roots back ever so slightly more, just so I can fit it in the container. These are really good roots. I really do hope they're able to overrule the rot and do something. And what I might do, depending on, as I say, I'm just going to really be monitoring these for the next ever. But in the next few days, what I might do, bearing in mind I'm going to be leaving that bit exposed, if the rot is still looking awful, I might do a hydrogen peroxide treatment as well. I don't think I should need to do that, to be honest. If anything's going to work, I think the oxygen exposure is going to work, but we will see. Fortunately, so far, all of the other plants I've imported are doing really quite well, which is good. I don't think I've had any other major dramas. This, as I say, I noticed this so soon after I took it out of the box. I was blown away with how perfect it looked when I first got it, and I put it over by my window. I put it right next to my humidifier. My humidifier's been blowing like 90% humidity. I was like, try and keep all the conditions perfect. And within, I think it was within like 24 hours, I started to notice these brown spots appearing. And I was like, oh God, I've seen this before. But yeah, it was more than I thought. That's what it's looking like. As you can see, I've left the top totally exposed. So it shouldn't rot anymore. In theory, it shouldn't rot anymore because, as I say, there's nothing, once that kind of dries out a bit, there's nothing to keep the rot going, moisture-wise. So if I just keep those roots hydrated, let that dry out, then maybe it might work. Also, it is raining very heavily. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up the noise of that, but it sounds very loud where I am. So, sorry about that. Or hopefully it sounds nice and relaxing. More relaxed than I feel right now. Yeah, and then I'm going to do... do exactly the same for the other one. This almost looks beyond hope. And I mean, again, I don't think there's a lot of point in me keeping this leaf on. Like, you can see better here. Look how rotten that is. And it's spreading to the leaf there as well. So again, I'm like, do I remove the leaf? It's one and only leaf. Do I do it? I'm going to just leave it on. Making jokes to cover up my pain. And then depending on how these get on, I mean, the frustrating thing is this actually isn't a particularly fast growing plant anyway, so although yes, I'll be able to tell whether or not it's rotted anymore, I might not be able to actually figure out if I've like saved the plant. For a good few months, because it often does take that long for it to give you new growth. So we'll see. This might be a long and ongoing update. In fact, I hope it is, because if it is, that means that it hasn't rotted away to nothing. So let's hope that it is. And the good thing is I have got two sections here. I've got two sections that potentially could do something. I feel like I've had a lot of this recently. Obviously, well, I mean, the other one was kind of my own fault, but obviously I tried to propagate the Philodendron esmeraldense in Lettuce upon. I shouldn't have done that. That was my own fault. However, I have heard that they are notoriously hard to propagate. A lot of you have messaged me saying, don't worry, the same happened to me, which has absolutely made me feel better, so thank you. But that one is currently in my cabinet, looking relatively normal actually, but I know it doesn't have a root system unless some miracle has happened since the last time I checked. I highly doubt that's the case. Shall I check it? Do I check it? Maybe I'll have a look at it. I know I said I was just going to leave it alone now, but I kind of want to look at it. But I feel like today, my day's not off to the best start today, seeing as this plant is dying a death in front of my eyes. I kind of want to just see if there's any hope for that other one. And if there's not, maybe I'll cry. Okay, cool. That's what it's looking like. Again, totally exposed at the top. That doesn't go under the moss at all. It's just kind of sitting on top. Decent root system in there. One fairly manky looking leaf. And you never know. You never know. But yeah, I think I'm going to continue to keep these sections close to the window. I'm going to continue to keep them in ideal conditions and hope that maybe I can get this plant back. So yeah, I will still do my 2-week import updates video, and I'll let you know how the others are doing, because as I say, so far I haven't had any major dramas. Oh, there has actually been one other thing that's been going wrong, but I think it is solvable and manageable. But there haven't been too many other dramas. Everything's looking pretty good, but it's only a few days in, so 2 weeks, there could be a lot to talk about. I hope there's not, but there could be. So I'll give you the rest of the updates for that then. Let's just have a quick look at my Philodendron esmeraldense. Seeing as I'm here and I've brought it up, I'm just going to grab it and have a look. So it's not looking, the leaf isn't looking as beautiful as it was when I first got it. But bearing in mind, so these plants arrived, I think, about a week before my birthday. My birthday's the 23rd of September. They arrived, I think, maybe on like the 13th or 14th. This has been going almost a month successfully like this, looking pretty good, even though it's rotten at the bottom. Again, I know I said last time it would be a miracle if it did actually grow roots, because yeah, it's rotten. Ooh, oh, this is interesting. Okay, oh my God. Is this just about to brighten my day? So, as you can see, very rotten at the bottom, not a huge amount of change from the last time I showed you it. These aerial roots here, I don't think anything is going to happen with them because they look pretty gone. However, the new leaf that hadn't unfurled, is that the start of an aerial root I can see just there? Do you see what I mean? Ah, I think it could be. Oh my goodness. I literally thought that this plant was doomed. This is, okay, if this is an aerial root, this has really, really made my day, because I can't remember exactly what I said in my last video, but I was like, I'm pretty sure there's nothing that's going to save this plant now, but I'll put it in moss anyway. And yeah, I actually think that could be the start of the plant saving itself. Oh my God. And if it's possible for this plant, maybe it's possible for the Veitchii as well. Because I was honestly about to give up with this one. Yay! Okay, I'm going to put it back into moss. And I'm going to keep monitoring it. Oh my God, maybe this plant isn't doomed. God, this is an emotional video, isn't it? Already we're only, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes in, and there's been a lot going on. But yeah, I'm going to keep this one in my cabinet. And although I don't think we're out of the woods yet with it, I feel like that's very positive, and that's much more than I was expecting from this plant. There we go. Yay! Oh my goodness, I am so excited about that. And while I'm here in my cabinet, one of the other things that I've been meaning to do since I got back from the plant swap is put this gorgeous Monstera Esqueleto onto a moss pole. This is one of the ones that I was given when I was there, and I was convinced had good genes and I would be able to grow. And the last time I had the Monstera Esqueleto, I just didn't get it onto a pole for such a long time and it got very runnery. So I'm gonna get this one onto a pole now, give it the best possible chance in my care, and we'll see how that goes. And I think I actually do have, oh my goodness, this cupboard over here has got so chaotic again. But I think I actually do have some moss poles made up already, so I don't think I'll have to make a new one. I got this cupboard really neat and organised a little while ago and it was looking so good. And you know when things start to slip and you don't get on top of them right away and then they just spiral very quickly? That is what has happened here. I've got all of my planty things in here. I've got moss poles, I've got pots, I've got soils, I've got everything that I need for my plants, but it's all just become quite disorganised. And I've been saying for ages that I was going to do it. Maybe I'll make a start on it today. Oh my God, that feels like a headache, but maybe I will do that. Oh, in fact, I have just come across a moss pole that I think would be perfect for that plant. I know it's not that big, but obviously I can extend it as we go. And I'm just thinking if I want to keep that plant in my cabinet for the time being, which I think I do, I'd like to keep it a size that can actually fit in there. So let's give this one a go. Let's give this one a go and potentially come back and tackle the cupboard of chaos. Oh, this is a plant that I haven't shown you yet, and you can't see amazingly because it's very tucked down in this cup, but it is a variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and I was given this for my birthday and I think it's just beautiful. So I'm so excited to watch it grow because, as I say, it seems quite slow at the moment. It could just be adjusting, but I'm very excited to see what it does for me. And I also realised I accidentally brought home some Anthurium clarinervium babies that I took to the plant swap, and I haven't got around to taking them out of their travel containers at the moment, so that is where they are staying. So as I say, I've had the Monstera Esqueleto before and I haven't got on particularly well with it, and I do think that a lot of that is probably down to me and me not getting it on a moss pole sooner. So as I've already said, I'm just keen to get this done ASAP. And this is, as I say, an old second-hand moss pole and it's very dry. So I'm just going to give it a spray with some water and then I will hydrate it at the sink in a minute. Just because moss is quite hydrophobic when it gets really dry. If you do just give it a spray over like that, it just kind of helps it to open up and, I was going to say, accept water. It just makes it easier to hydrate without the water bouncing off it when you do run it under the tap. So yes, I'm gonna just leave that for a couple of minutes and then I can do that. Should probably actually check that it's gonna be the right size. I've just guessed. So yeah, it will do for the time being. As I say, it is very small, but I can extend it or I can replace it. I just want to get something going so that this plant doesn't start giving me lots of runners again. Because as you can see, it's got some amazing aerial roots just there. So I feel like it should hopefully grip on and start to climb quite easily. Also, its soil is a little bit dry, but I'll give it a full water through afterwards. Right, I'm going to hydrate the pole under the tap. Cool, so that is really well hydrated all the way through now. And I think I'm probably going to just reuse the soil that this plant's in because it's a fairly young plant and I'm guessing it's probably been potted up quite recently. So I'm going to try and do this neatly. It's never going to be neat, is it? Interesting just to have a look at the plant's root system as well, which is actually I don't know why, I think it's in keeping with the plants, but a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. It looks really full and healthy though, which is good. I'm just wondering if it actually needs to be in a pot this big. I think I might downsize one, you know, just because I know, well, I was going to say from my experience growing the plant so far, obviously my experience growing the plant so far hasn't been amazing. But I know they can be slightly susceptible to root rot and they can grow very well when they're slightly root bound. So I might just see if I've got something that is a little bit smaller. Even just something like this, it's not that much smaller. I kind of feel like, I mean, there's lots of room. I think I'm gonna go with this one, you know. I can always change it back, but that's what my gut is telling me to do. It's always so difficult to make sure that your soil mix stays in the bottom of the moss pole. I always kind of put it on top and try and jiggle it in a little bit. And then obviously I want to make sure that this is facing the way that the aerial roots are going to go into the moss pole. And what I think I'll probably do, and annoyingly I can't do it this very second because the thing I need is in the bedroom and Ross is in a meeting at the moment. But what I think I will probably do is just get a hairpin, like a crocodile clip, and just secure the vine to the moss pole, just to again help to encourage the aerial roots into the moss. And also it just kind of holds it in place. It means that while it is forming bonds with the moss pole, if you knock it, it will likely not detach. That's a bad way of saying things, but I think that's clear what I just said. But yeah, I will do that later or this evening. But that is what it's looking like, and hopefully this will be the start of me being able to get it right with one of these plants, because as I say, my experiences so far are not great. In fact, I've just tucked one of the bigger aerial roots into the moss pole and it seems to be staying in place. So yeah, I will water that shortly. And then the other thing that I brought over to the table to do is my Variegated Alocasia Frydek. So as you can see, it is losing some leaves at the bottom. I have spoken obviously about alocasia cycling before and stuff like that, but the main bigger growth it's giving me doesn't seem to be doing that. So I'm not too worried, because obviously we are coming into winter. We're coming into winter now. Oh my God, how depressing is that? But we're losing light. It's colder outside, but then central heating is on, so it's going through a lot of changes, a lot of environmental changes. So I'm just going to trim those bottom leaves off, and then the other thing I want to do is get this one into a tower pot. And tower pots, tower pots are these things, and a lot of you have asked me where I get these from. I'm pretty sure you can get them off Amazon, but I got these ones from Soil Ninja, who do now ship in the EU, I believe, so I will link them down below. But the tower pots are just fantastic for plants such as alocasia, also anthurium and stuff like that, but if you are using semi-hydro, because obviously they've got slits that kind of come further up, meaning that they're able to absorb more water from the reservoir in a way that they can't if they're just doing it from the bottom. Also, because the slits typically are a little bit narrower, it means that in my experience, if you're using a chunkier semi-hydro mix, it doesn't fall through in the same way as it does with some of the others. As I started saying, for plants such as alocasia, this one, if you look at this one, you can firstly see it is, oh, dripping, it's dripping. But it's getting very root bound, and it's starting to, as it kind of climbs up and loses old leaves, it's getting points around here with nodes on that could continue to root into the semi-hydro, and you can air lay around the top and just kind of wrap some moss around to encourage it to root. But I think I just like to keep things simpler and put it into a taller pot. So yeah, I'm hoping, might be overly ambitious, but I was going to say I'm hoping the roots might kind of stay together when I take it out of the pot. Also, it is quite noisy. I opened the window to just let this room cool off a little bit, and it's getting a little bit trafficy outside, so I'm just going to close the windows. That's better. So yeah, I was going to say brutal. I know these leaves are on their way out anyway, so I'm just going to chop these ones back. And then if you look at the bottom of the plant, just by the rhizome, you can see it's got some, these are actually old dead leaves, but they've just kind of built up here, and they're very easy to just pull back. And I'm just going to take them off because they do make the plant more susceptible to rotting. And if I'm going to be submerging that bit in more semi-hydro, I obviously do not want another rot situation, especially not today. So yeah, I'm going to do that with the old leaves, and also the leaves that I've just trimmed back. I'm going to try and just pull the base of them off if I can. And to be honest, you should really, I mean, especially if you're quite sensitive, you should wear gloves for this. I said it in an alocasia video the other day, but alocasias contain calcium oxalate, which is basically, I think I'm right in saying it's like tiny little microscopic crystals, and they are so painful. I used to prune my big alocasia portadora without gloves, and I did a really big chop back one day, and halfway through I suddenly noticed my hands were like burning. I ran downstairs, I put them under the tap, and they were just so painful for literally like 45 minutes. And I googled it, and then I was like, that's why. So whenever I touch that plant now, I always wear gloves, or I'm just very, very careful. And I will go and give my hands a wash after doing it with this one, because although this one's only diddy, I'm sure the same could happen. So yeah, that's what she's looking like, and I hope the transition will be straightforward. I'm thinking I put a little bit of semi-hydro at the bottom there, and then I can just build it up around the base to maybe about there. That feels like the right thing to do. I think that's the right thing to do. Let's see if it's going to go everywhere or if it will lift out. Oh, it's got so many roots at the bottom. This has happened in a really short space of time as well. I only repotted this one again maybe 2 months ago or something. Ooh. Okay, this feels messy. Oh wow, oh my god, those roots are crazy. I risk throwing semi-hydro everywhere, but look at that. That is ridiculous. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna empty some of that back out, and then I'm gonna try and encourage, I'm not gonna completely break up the roots, but just encourage them to spread a little bit. Oh my goodness, I can see a corm. Oh, there's a few corms. Oh my goodness, this is exciting. So obviously I've got a corm here that's popped up and sprouted. Do I let these ones grow in the pot, or do I separate them and grow them myself? Well, this is really quite exciting. You can see there's one just there. Do you see that? And then I can see another one down there as well. Okay, I think I might harvest just those two because they look pretty ready. Oh, are they? Oh, I don't want to get this wrong. Oh, okay, so the one down the bottom just literally pulled away very easily. So yeah, that's what it is looking like. And let's see if the one at the top does the same. If it doesn't, I'm not going to force it. But yeah, it did. Amazing. And I know I've had, and I have actually answered this fairly recently, but I've had lots of questions before about how I tend to propagate alocasia from corms. And I know it is something that a lot of people do struggle with, and I've struggled with it in the past as well. It's not the most straightforward thing in the world always, because they can be quite prone to rotting. The ways that I've had the highest success rate when I do it are either through using semi-hydro or through what Emma refers to as the shallow water method. And in fact, I've got one in the shallow water method at the moment that I can show you. I don't really know what's in my cabinet because it doesn't need to be. But in there, that is a little Alocasia Sarian corm. And it's not doing anything just yet because I got it at the plant swap. But what I've done with this one is I've just kind of, when I say I've peeled it, I've just taken off like the brown that sometimes is there around the corms, just because that can cause it to rot. And then I have literally just put it in the shallowest amount of water, like a milliliter of water, close the lid, keep it somewhere light, keep it somewhere warm, and typically they sprout quite quickly. I guess it again kind of depends on your environment and the time of year, but usually within a few weeks I'll start to notice something. And I haven't had that many rots doing it that way, but as I say, it's semi-hydro is the other way I do it. I'll just essentially do a mini version of what I'm doing now, just get like a little shot glass or a jar or something like that, and I'll just create a tiny reservoir at the bottom and put the top of the corm sticking out at the top, and then, hang on, that's easier to show you, the top of the corm sticking up and then the bottom of the corm sticking down, and they do tend to root themselves. And there are obviously lots and lots and lots of ways you can do it, and I have done it in soil and stuff like that before, but I have found that when you do it in any kind of organic matter, whether it's soil, whether it's moss, that is when I've noticed that they do rot more, in my experience. But yeah, I think as well, just monitoring them the whole way through the process is a really good thing to do, because even when they start to root, they are still quite susceptible to rotting when they're young. I have had ones that have rooted for me before, and then almost overnight, I felt the little corm and it just feels really squidgy, and I'm like, okay, well, that's the end of that then. So yeah, just keeping a close eye on them. You can do them in a prop box as well. You can put them into propagation boxes. I've had luck doing it that way. But yeah, that is how I personally do it. But as I say, I think it's completely normal to struggle with it, because a lot of people seem to. Yeah, it's one of the, I was gonna say, more advanced propagations, perhaps. I don't know. Perfect. So I filled that pretty much all the way up to the top. So it's sitting like that, and all of the bottom with the nodes is submerged now. And I have got a little bit of room to be able to kind of continue to fill it up. So I think this will be absolutely fine for the next kind of, I don't know, 3-4 months. I don't know how much this plant's growth is going to slow down over the winter. So far, it's not. She's getting ready to give me a lovely new leaf there and there. But yeah, I need to get some like prettier tower pot covers, but for the time being, I'm gonna just keep it in there like that. To be honest, it doesn't bother me that much looking at it like that. So yeah. And I guess while we're here, I could get the corms propagating. That's really fun. I'm really excited to do this, because this is, the variegated Friedek is probably my most unusual alocasia. And as I say, the first corm it gave me, I was very reluctant to do anything to. I just wanted to let it kind of fill the plant out a little bit more. And now I've got options. If I successfully manage to get these to root, then I can either pot them back up with the mother plants and get a massive full one going. Or I can get new babies going, I can give them away. I'm not sure yet, but I'm just gonna try and see if I can get them to root first. And do I just put them in with the Sarian? As I say, this one hasn't been in there that long. I might give them their own tub, to be honest. I'm going to just see what I've got. I found these little sauce pots and I feel like they're going to be perfect. Annoyingly, oh hello Joli, I don't know where the lids are for them. So I'm going to have to do one, I think, open and one with cling film. I think what I'll probably do is I'll do one, maybe this one that's got the little attachmenty bit still on it. I might do that in semi-hydro and then the other one shallow water. And then I can kind of compare them and see how they get on. But yeah, the bit that's attached it so far to the mother plant, that little, as I say, like tail, I don't know what its official name is. I typically just leave that on there. I don't know if you're meant to take it off. I've never taken it off and it's never caused me any drama. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it as is. And yeah, just fill a little container like that. And then stick it down in there and I'll create a little reservoir at the bottom. And I'll be able to monitor it. So that's what it looks like. And then this one, I'm going to do shallow water. So I'm literally just going to pop this in any direction like that, fill the tiniest bit of water, and then I'll put some cling film over it. And I don't have to keep these in my cabinet, but I like, they're so easy to knock over and disturb. I keep them in my cabinet like mainly just because Joli then won't whack them. So I think that's probably what I'll do. And hopefully they take. That's super exciting. After such a bad morning, that's really, really perked me up and made me feel better. So I'm very excited about that. Oh, and I said I might tackle that cupboard. That's a bit boring, isn't it? Maybe I do like a speed organise. And if you've got stuff that you have been meaning to organise, like plant supplies, anything, if you've got stuff, then spend 5 minutes now doing it with me and we can get it done together and then we'll both feel good about ourselves and then we can do more fun stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So when this cupboard is organised, it's fabulous. I love it. I reorganised it for a Patreon video about 4 months ago maybe, and I put up shelves. I got it in a really good state. But annoyingly, firstly, this door doesn't open any more than this because it's too long on the bottom and it needs planing. So you kind of have to like squeeze in, and if you're in a bit of a rush, stuff just gets thrown. But I'll walk you through the sections that I've created that should be organised, and then I will organise them and then I'll show you them properly. But the top shelf I've got, in fact, it's not meant to be pots that I've made. These are the ones that I kind of revamped and decorated. It's meant to be ceramic pots and like decorative things. So stuff like this. Also just like cool containers that I come across. We found this at Ross's place and we thought that that would be quite a cool plant pot. So yeah, in theory, the top shelf is meant to be decorative items for plants, but it's got very mixed up with other stuff. I've also got some terrarium things up there as well. Yeah, it's just a cool little space that I can dip into if I fancy doing like a fun planty project. And I'm looking for a little bit of inspiration. And then the shelf below it, which again, like I was looking at it on camera, it doesn't look as bad on camera. It's so messy in real life. But this is loads of like jars, cups, propagating mediums, things that I just go to again on a pretty daily basis that I may need. Like I've got old hummus tubs, sauce pots like I just used for the alocasia corns. I've got loads of these little jars that I use for propagation. I've got loads of old spice containers, all that sort of stuff. And again, it's all just very mixed up and muddled at the moment. Also to the left of the shelf, I keep all my my pest treatments, like my emergency pest treatments, like I've got my isopropyl alcohol. Usually I keep hydrogen peroxide there, but I'm out at the moment. I've got all my horticultural soaps. I've got things like Provanto and stuff like that in there as well, in a worst case scenario that I need to go in and deal with something in a very chemical way. And then I've got the shelf dedicated to pots that I've made and just standard nursery pots. And I can't really show you much of that at the moment because it's chaos in there. So I'm gonna just have a rough rejig. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna try and just get it looking a little bit better. And while I'm sitting down and organising bits and bobs, why would I keep that? I don't know. But I just wanted to run something past you guys. I don't know if any of you can shed any light on this, but since Ross has been living here, this is very bizarre, but since he's been living here, he's been having what seems to be kind of like a hay fever allergic reaction in the mornings and evenings at my flat. And we have said, we're like, it can only really be the plants. I've done some Googling and lots of people have said that if it's like if plants are in like if you're pollinating, for example, if you've got lots of flowering plants, then obviously that can trigger a hay fever-like response. But I actually currently don't have anything in flower. And although I have collected pollen from anthuriums in the last few weeks, this has been going on for longer than that. And also I know I said I had anthuriums with inflorescences when I imported recently. It's been happening way before that as well. So we're a little bit baffled. And obviously if he was allergic to the plants, that would be like, allergic to Joli I think would be worse, but it would just be the worst thing ever. And I don't quite know what we would do. I guess the only option would probably be to make the bedroom not planty and just have everything through here in this room, which obviously isn't ideal. But yeah, I just wondered if any of you had experienced the same thing, because currently we're not entirely sure what to do about it. Also, that's definitely not clean whatsoever. So yeah, Ross has just popped an antihistamine and is next door working currently, but it's getting to the point where like, this is so silly. It never, like, I don't remember it happening when we first met, or in fact, I don't remember it happening up until about a month ago. So yeah, not quite sure. And I know I'm speaking to some friends and some people are saying that it could be like dust because we're moving and we're unpacking boxes and stuff. But it isn't that dusty in here. It's not that dusty. So yeah, currently we're stumped. And oh my goodness, I've got so many, I mean, that needs a wash out. I'm gonna just put a pile of stuff that I need to wash, but I've got loads and loads and loads of pots. Probably too many pots, arguably. I know I'm always needing them, but I always say to myself, I'm always like, oh God, I need more. And I'm like, I've got loads. It's just that they're all in chaos and I can't get to them. But yeah, all the pretty pots that I've made, put them together. They'll go on that bit of the shelf. All the other nursery pots will go on this bit of the shelf. I've got loads of moss poles here that I've made and I'm not using, and stakes and stuff like that. Fortunately, they have stayed pretty in place. Also, I thought this would make a gorgeous terrarium. This was a candle, a scented candle, and we just boiled it up and got rid of all the wax. And yeah, I think that's so pretty. So I'm gonna make a lovely one at some point. So many pretty bottles that could be terrariums. I think that was a gin bottle at one point. I'm just not doing anything with them. I need to start doing more. Okay, it is far from perfect, but I'm pretty happy with that. I think that will do. That's organised enough for me to be able to get planty stuff done without the chaos I was working with before. This bit here, I need to organise this at some point. I could do a full cleaning and organising video if you like. Let me know if you want to see that, because I've always got stuff to be doing. But yeah, I mean, although it's still a bit of a state, I can get to everything I need. As I say, I've got a lot of pots. I had to do a little overflow pot bit down there, but then I've got all my soils and substrates and everything I need. Moss poles. Oh my goodness, it feels so good to have that done. I know it isn't the most amazing standard of cleaning and tidying, but you know, when just like a little bit just makes you feel better. But I'm going to give the Escaletto a water through, and then I'm going to pop it back in my cabinet, I think, and just leave it in there because it seems happy in there so far. I've had no acclimation issues. And hopefully it will give me some lovely new growth soon. So I'm just going to leave that there to drain for a minute. Also, me and Ross are potentially going to make some little terrariums of these skull bottles. They were for hot sauce. Oh my god, the sauce was so ridiculously hot. But we've just washed them out, and he was saying this morning how fun it would be to make terrariums. I also just think they'd be really cool propagation mediums because the roots would look pretty cool. So that might be a weekend project depending on how we get on time-wise. But I brought over a few other moss propagations that I want to hydrate. This is the Rhaphidophora something, and I can't for the life of me remember the name now. I was saying it in my head to myself the other day trying to remember it. But it's one that I got at the recent plant swap, and oh my goodness, if I can find a picture and put it on the screen, I will show you what it looks like when it's big and mature, because it looks gorgeous, and I'm super excited about it. And I think it's too soon to tell whether or not it's rooting. I wondered if maybe that little speck of white could be a root, but I don't think it is. But yeah, I've got this in my window box at the moment, so it's getting lots of lovely light. It does mean that the moss is drying out quite quickly though, so I'm having to just stay very on top of keeping it hydrated. But yeah, I do hope that it starts doing something for me soon. I'll absolutely let you know when it does, because yeah, I'm really excited about this one. And then the same with the Philodendron gigas. This is another one that I got at the plant swap recently, and I just think it's beautiful. It's in sphagnum moss again, and I need to give it a hydrate because it is getting quite dry, but I can see that it's got a new growth point just there that's starting to push up, so I'm hoping I should start to get some lovely growth off this plant soon, because it's a philodendron that I've never owned before, and I think I said it in the video where I first got the plant, but it's very similar in a lot of ways to the Melanochrysum, but apparently, supposedly, it's a lot hardier, so that makes me very excited because I love the dark velvety leaf plants, but they can just be a little bit finicky. So I'm really hoping that this one doesn't give me too much grief. But yeah, so far so good. And then this is one that I don't think I spoke about in that video. This is one that I got in the goodie bag, and it is a Dremeopsis maculata. I don't think I'd heard of that before, and I still, to be honest, don't know that much about the plant. I know it is rooted, which is nice. It's, again, just in sphagnum moss, but it's got some lovely roots in there. But I need to do some research on this one because this one's just kind of slipped to the back of my list. I usually, if I get a new plant, I'm like, right, let's find out its lighting requirements. Let's do a little bit of digging, and to be completely honest, these last few weeks have been pretty crazy, what with Plant Swap, Comic-Con, moving Ross in, just general life stuff, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet, so it's just been by the window, seeming okay. So I will do a little bit of looking into that at some point. But what was next on my list? So I've got my big yucca plant out on the balcony, and it's been out there all summer pretty much, and it's given me some amazing growth out there, and it's done really well. But the last couple of mornings we have had a frost, and I know that that plant is not going to be happy if I leave it outside for a UK winter. So it's one that's going to have to come in. And firstly, I don't know where I'm going to put it yet because we are running a little bit tight on space. Unless I want to fill the entirety of the bedroom with plants, which I would happily do, but I've got to be mindful that there is now another person here who could be allergic to my houseplants. So yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, and I wanted to take it in this video and kind of give it a clean up, probably give it a shower down, but as I say, Ross is in a meeting, so I'm going to have to just see how we get on with that. If not, that's going to be a job for me for the next few days. But something that I did want to do is just go around some of the hanging plants and give them a check over, because I've got a few issues. In fact, I've got one that I think might need to be repotted. My Hoya Bella's looking a little bit sad. There we go. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see very much. I might have to show you in a minute, but she's not looking as healthy and lovely as she once was. Her new growth is looking pretty good, but up here she's looking a little bit mottled, and I haven't repotted her in the time that I've had her, so I'm thinking that maybe she does just need a repot and maybe a little bit of a prune back. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'll get her down and I'll have a look at her and see what she needs. So yeah, as you can see, she's looking a little bit sorry for herself. She is very dehydrated, and as I say, I haven't repotted her since I've had her. And if you look there, you can literally see all of the roots. So I think a really good repot is probably going to be the answer. I'm pretty sure this isn't pest related, just because I did do a really big check of all my Hoyas recently and she was already looking a little bit weird then. I got her under the microscope, I can't see anything. I think it's probably that she's very, very nutrient deprived, very dehydrated, and very much needing some new soil. So yeah, let's set up and give her a repot, shall we? I should have thought of all of this before I did the cupboard, because I've just had to unpack loads of stuff that I've just organised. But so with this plant, as I say, I think it'll be very obvious when I take it out of its current pot, which I think is going to be very easy to do. It's literally just a ball of roots. And so I think that probably explains what's going on here. Yeah, my God, look at that. That is poor quality soil and a lot of roots. I don't know how easy it's going to be. I don't want to damage the root system too much when the plant's not doing great. But I'm just going to try and get a little bit of the soil off. And then I'll replace that and put it in a bigger pot. And hopefully that will be problem solved. Right, I've just hollowed out the bottom a little bit and spread the roots. And then I grabbed this size pot, and I think that probably is going to be a good size for the plant. And then I'm just going to, I haven't had a chance to do a mix, but I've got some Soil Ninja base mix here, which is perlite soil and I think horticultural charcoal, maybe worm castings as well, I'm not entirely sure. But I have got some bark here as well that I just found at the back of the cupboard as I was clearing it out. So I'm going to layer some bark with this to just create a really lovely chunky mix for this plant, because Hoyas, they're epiphytic plants, which means they typically grow off the side of another plant, another rock, something like that in their natural environment. So this just kind of mimics it and hopefully will keep it really quite happy. Gonna just again spread that as I put it into the new container, and then I'll pop the substrate on top as well. Okay, I think that should be good. And when I give this a water through and a really good hydrate, I'll let you know in the next few days how it's getting on, but I would have thought that would be enough. As I say, considering the growth at the bottom is looking so good and healthy, I'm hoping that would be enough. In fact, I'll show you a healthy Hoya Bella so that you can see what it looks like, because I've got one over here. Yeah, so typically that is what you want it to be looking like. And obviously this one is just currently very, very deflated and sad looking. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll be able to get her back to this soon. Okay, so I've given it a water and I'm just going to leave it to drain for a moment. And then I'm thinking, and this is quite exciting because I haven't got my glue gun out in ages, but I'm thinking I might make a lazy hanger for this plant. I've got lots of my plants up here in macrame hangers, and I don't know if I have the energy to make a full macrame hanger today, but I'm thinking I might just do a lazy one and then I can get it hanging again fairly quickly. But first, before I do that, I've got my bird of paradise over here and it's pushing out a new leaf. And in fact, the new leaf has, I was going to say unfurled. It hasn't unfurled. It's just kind of been pushed out. But as you can see, the leaf itself isn't doing anything. And I've had this with plants with smaller leaves before. And I always find it quite fun. If you get a piece of material that's damp and warm and wrap it around it, then it will kind of help it to unfurl. And I did that with one of my philodendrons the other day, actually, but I've never done it with a plant this big, and I feel like it's going to look pretty cool. So I thought we could do that together. It will probably take all of 2 seconds, and I'm probably building this up to be way more exciting than it actually is. But I'm excited about it. So that is what we're going to do next. Okay, so I've got just a normal tea towel, and I'm going to just soak this under the hot tap for a minute and hope that this works. Okay. I'm trying not to tread on Joli here as well because she's right by my feet. But let's wrap it around and just hold it for a minute. Okay, let's see if it's done anything. Oh my goodness, look! I kind of thought that might be a more dramatic unfurl. But I mean, it's got it going. It's got it going. Oh my goodness, this leaf is ginormous. I know you shouldn't technically help that much, but to be honest, this leaf is completely pushed out. So I'm gonna just do it. Look how beautiful that is. I'm not going to unfurl the other half of it just because I ideally like that to kind of do its job naturally, but that's beautiful. Oh, it always makes me so happy when this plant gives me new growth because it's not the fastest grower in the world, but I just find all of its growth really, really rewarding. And it gave me that new leaf fairly recently as well, which is just so beautiful. So yeah, yay! And I know I said about making a lazy hanger for this plant. I thought I still had loads of macrame cord. Oh, sorry, not the tripod over. I thought I still had loads of macrame cord, and actually I've just had a look and I can't find any. So I thought I'd get a little bit creative and mix up the design. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this, but I'm committing to it. Also, I thought it'd be nice to sit here so you could see Joli, but I've just sat right in front of her, so I'm gonna shift up because she's adorable. So typically I would just do macrame cord hangers, whether or not I actually do them as macrame or if I just stick them, as I said earlier. But I'm gonna use, well, I'm gonna hold it up first and see if I like it because I might hate it. But I was just looking in my arts and crafts drawer, one of many, and I saw this ribbon which I got for just like pot decorating ages ago, and it's kind of a burnt orange colour, and I really like this colour. I love how it's quite terracotta-y, and because you can actually see the top of the pot, and I'm thinking maybe, oh, am I going to hate it? This is the sort of thing that no one else would notice. I know nobody else would notice. It's the smallest detail. I've got so many hanging plants. I'm the only one that's going to notice this. But for anyone like me that is just a little bit weird visually, sometimes it can be the smallest thing, and if it's in your space and you know it's there, it's all you can look at. So let's hold it up and see roughly what it would look like. I think it's going to kind of just look like the plant's wrapped up as a present. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm just gonna do it. If I hate it, I can deal with it later, or I can paint the ribbon if it bothers me that much. I would just like to get the plant hanging again. And this is a very Christmassy ribbon I'm using. God, Christmas is creeping up, isn't it? I have no idea what we're doing for Christmas yet. Me and Ross were saying that earlier. We actually don't have any plans as of yet. We need to kind of figure it out. We've got some friends coming over on the 28th, but apart from that, not sure what we're going to be doing. So that will be fun. We might get a Christmas tree this year as well, which we haven't done so far. And I've been back and forth in my mind about the real Christmas tree versus the non-real Christmas tree, because my mum's got trees before that. Also, just very quickly, talk you through this. This is the easiest thing in the world. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue these ribbons so that they're crossed, and then I'm going to sit the. You'll see as I do it. I don't know why I'm talking through it. I'll show you as I do it. Wow, my brain is not engaging today, is it? I think this morning's thrown me still. But yes, my Mum always gets a real tree, and she loves a real tree, and I've kind of grown up having real trees, and I do love them, but obviously it is so sad to get a tree that's going to be used for a month and then thrown in the bin. I think it is just such a waste of life. And I know you can get rooted Christmas trees. Again, my mum did do that one year. It didn't root particularly well. I think they literally just dig it out at the roots and hope for the best. I don't think it necessarily means that the tree comes with the best root system. So yeah, I'm gonna just cross the wires, cross the ribbons, and I'm just gonna stick them like that. I'll pop the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. That's easier, isn't it? So yeah, what I was gonna say as well, obviously, if you're a planty person, there's lots of Christmas tree-esque plants that you can get, or you could just decorate your house plants. But what I'm thinking is probably getting a plastic tree. I'm not a big advocate for fake plants in general, but this obviously isn't going to be like a single-use plastic. It's something that chances are we can probably use for, I don't know, 20, 30 years down the line. So, I mean, I don't think fake Christmas trees knacker that easily. You could potentially use it for the rest of your life. And I didn't have a Christmas tree last year. I don't think I even decorated, because I moved into my flat here this time last year. Literally exactly this time last year now. And yeah, I just think Christmas was all a bit of a blur. I was still in the process of kind of unpacking and getting everything kind of sorted in that sense. So I just didn't really do a lot. So although I don't know what I'm doing yet, I'm excited for it. Have any of you got big Christmas plans? Or are any of you not doing Christmas at all? What are you up to? What do your Decembers have in store? Because it does feel like December is creeping up very quickly. As soon as Halloween's kind of been and gone, it always feels like you're just on the countdown to Christmas. And I kind of wanted to do some Halloween-y content this year, but it's just been a really, really busy month, and I just ran out of time. I would have really loved to have done that. I had quite a few ideas that I wanted to do, and before I knew it, I was like, oh, well, it's Halloween now. No one's going to want to watch this after Halloween. So I will save those ideas for next year. Oh, oops. Just crushing a bit of the plant. But yeah, it felt very Christmassy the other day. We went up to London actually for one of my birthday presents. Ross got me tickets to Six the musical, which, oh my goodness, if you're in London and you have the chance to see it, I would highly recommend. I never used to be a musical theatre person at all. I don't know why, it just wasn't my thing. And in the last few years, I have just found such a love for musicals. I think when they're done well, they are brilliant. And it was one I actually didn't know anything about. And it's basically the story of Henry VIII's 6 wives. But it is so engaging. It's, oh my God, it's so educational. If I had been at school and I had seen this, I swear to God, it would have been the most helpful thing ever, because I don't learn particularly well by reading a lot of the time. And something like that, it makes you laugh. It's great fun. It was just a brilliant show with so many good points. So yeah, as I say, if you were able to see it, I would recommend it, because we had a fabulous night. And I've just gone off on a complete tangent. What I was going to say is, when we went to London, it was very Christmassy. We went around a couple of Christmas markets. There was a lovely one on in Trafalgar Square. I know South Bank when it gets to December. Also, am I doing this awfully? Yes is the answer, I am. I'm doing this terribly. But when it gets to December, the South Bank markets are gorgeous. Okay, so I've not been very attentive to what I'm doing here, and I've glued all of these bits. I mean, it'll work, but I've glued all of these bits closer together than I should have done. I should have spaced them better so that now there's not a big gap on this side. As I say, it will still work. It just isn't going to look great, but I don't think it was going to look particularly great anyway, so let's just go with it. Oh, and I haven't glued that bit straight either. Oh, this is really not going to be a very good hanging pot. I was going to say, if anyone wants to know about decent hanging pots or how to make macrame hangers, I've made a full video on that a while ago now, actually, on my channel. But I have gone through kind of like step by step in detail the easiest way to do it. Okay, so that's what it's looking like. I don't love it, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't love it, but it does the job. So even if it's a temporary thing, it does the job. So I'm just gonna tie a knot at the top now, and then we can hang it back up, and hopefully it won't look awful. And trim the top. Hello, sweetie. Oh, you are so good. You are so good. Okay. Cool. I kind of want to keep using my glue gun. I haven't, as I say, I haven't got it out in ages, and I haven't done any pot making in a really long time. So maybe I need to make a video on that soon, because that would be quite fun. But for the time being, I'm going to hang this up and hope it doesn't look horrible. Okay, what do we reckon? I'm not gonna lie, I think it looks awful. I look at all my other plants and it's like, oh, look how nice they look. It's all so nice and neat, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam. Yeah, I'm really not sure how I feel about that. And if you stand back, I feel like you notice the cord more than you notice the plant, and I don't enjoy that at all. I think it looks a bit messy. This is obviously all just my personal preference, and I know I am weird about this sort of stuff, but I'm not happy with that. I think I'm gonna have to, obviously not now, but I think I may have to paint it at some point. I don't know, I don't like it. Also, something that's going on over here that baffled me slightly. My Philodendron Dean McDowell has just given me this beautiful new leaf. I think it is just stunning. And as I've already shown in videos recently, I've been trying to train this one to go around the pot at the end and just kind of loop back on itself, which it is doing. However, since it's given me that new leaf, its newest growth point coming in is behind the new leaf. And I'm sure usually it's in front. Like, if you look at the way it's growing, it's usually in front. And now it's not. What does this mean? Has this ever happened to anyone? It's really bizarre, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's gonna start still trying to grow that way. I don't know. So yeah, I'm intrigued, and it's definitely keeping me on my toes. And there were a few bits that I wanted to do in my cabinet, but I've just seen a plant that I was gonna do something to. This is my Hoya pubicalis splash, I believe. I think that's what it is. It's one that's been in my bedroom cabinet for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure that is what its ID is. But I wanted to essentially chop this one up and replant it because it's got these insane aerial roots, and I feel like I'm just not showing it that much love at the moment where it is just in my other cabinet. I think it's just been completely ignored, and it's a really nice plant, and I'd like it to be out. I'd like it to be on display. I'd like to bring out its potential a little bit more, which I'm definitely not doing at the moment. So yeah, I'm gonna chop this up and repot it and then potentially get into my cabinet for a little bit. I still want to bring in my yucca from outside as well, but as you can see, it is chucking it down. Oh, you can't see it all. You can trust me. It's chucking it down with rain, so I don't think I'm gonna get around to doing that today. I also don't think I'm going to use a potting mat to do what I'm about to do because I have got my potting mat out and put it away so many times in this video. I'm literally just going to grab the soil and do it. I found one more thing that I need to do as well. Oh my goodness, I've got so many things that are just lying around the flat that I need to do, and I feel like I'm tackling a lot today, which is great. I love it when days like this happen. So yes, Hoya pubicalyx flash. I think I'm gonna do it in semi-hydro because I've done a lot of my Hoyas in semi-hydro recently. They've done very well. It has got an amazing root system there in moss. And the reason it's so amazing is because it has been in moss for probably about 6 months. So I'm not sure how much of that root system I'm gonna keep. I'm just gonna take it out and have a proper look at it. Wow, because yeah, I feel like this might just be a nightmare to untangle. I'm gonna try and get the moss off if I can. If not, I'm confident that this plant will root very quickly when I do put it into, I was going to say pon. I'm using Soil Ninja's equivalent of pon with no added fertiliser. And I know a lot of you keep commenting telling me that Lechuza pon now also make a type of pon that doesn't have fertiliser in as well. Thank you for letting me know that because I didn't know. I personally love Soil Ninja as a brand, so I am for the time being going to continue using them, but it's always useful to know about other things, so thank you. I must actually confess, I did order a couple of Hoya cuttings the other night. I haven't, I was going to say I haven't ordered Hoya cuttings in a while. So I mentioned in a video the other day that that I used to order Hoya cuttings on a very regular basis. And that's something that I haven't done in a while. And as soon as I said that, I was like, I'm going to have a look. I'm going to have to see what's out there. And I've got a couple of really exciting ones arriving. I don't know when they're going to arrive. I think the seller said she was going to send them out, I think, in a few days. So I'm hoping at some point in the next week. But one is a Hoya that I actually hadn't heard of before, but it's gorgeous. So I will be sure to show you them when they arrive because I'm really excited about them. I mean, I'm trying not to buy too many more plants or get too many more plants at the moment anyway, just because obviously moving a person in, trying to clear space. But I haven't ordered, oh no, that's such a lie. I was going to say I haven't ordered any plant cuttings for myself in a while. I ordered myself some for my birthday, didn't I? I've been much better. To be honest, I've been much better since I've lived here than I thought I would be. Like, if you saw the rate at which my plant collection grew in the time that I was living back at my mum's house, I am surprised that I've still got floor space in my flat having lived here for a year by myself. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm quite proud of myself. And these cuttings I've got coming are very, very small. And Hoya cuttings are just great as well because although it's quite frustrating sometimes because they are such slow growers, when they do grow, like I said about the bird of paradise, it's just so rewarding and they're much easier to kind of gradually monitor, I find. So if you have got limited space and you want lots of interesting, kind of weird and wonderful plants, then Hoyas, I think, are great ones to get as cuttings because, yeah, they don't grow that fast, but they're just very unpredictable. So I'm very excited about these ones I've got coming. My God, these roots. You know when they grow so round the moss that you feel like you're just not going to get all the moss off? That is kind of how this feels. Oh my God. One of my hanging plants has just randomly fallen down. Oh, I hope it's okay. Yeah, why this fell, I do not know. Oh my goodness, I mean, it's very dry. It needs a water. It's probably fallen to tell me to get on top of my plant care. But yeah, how strange. I will do that shortly. I mean, it doesn't, it doesn't look awful. It doesn't look great. This is a Ripsalis red coral cactus, and this is the one that I've been growing just in my Velux window up here. And I've got another one over in my window box that is very, very different to that one. The one over here, I know I'm getting majorly distracted. Oh, look at all the chaos. This is all the Ross moving in stuff. But the one I've got over here, oh, you can't really tell in this light, it's much pinkier. It's much more sun stressed. And I really like how different they are. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'll deal with that other one shortly. Oh, I've just seen there's a section here, oh, that has fallen out that doesn't appear to be rooted. I might have just stuck that back down in the soil a while ago. I can't remember. Oh, also I thought those were pests. No, I think that's just soil. Goodness me, so many dramas today. But yeah, right, I'm almost there with this one. As I say, its roots are fantastic. And I may just give them a little prune back if I can't get all this moss off, just because I'm impatient. And I know the plant will be fine. You can, I mean, to be honest, I've propagated, I know I've spoken a lot about my experience with, I mean, in fact, the prime example is the Philodendron esmeraldense, trying to propagate that in semi-hydro Ladybird type mix and having a very bad experience. But with Hoyas, I very often prop them in semi-hydro and have, like, I don't think I've ever had any issues. One of the other Hoyas that I got for my birthday, I think it was a obtusifolia. Was it an obtusifolia? No, it wasn't. That's a peperomia. What am I talking about? But that one I put straight into the Houseplant and it's rooted beautifully and I've had no issues whatsoever, and the plant's putting out new growth now. It's seeming really happy. So yeah, I think it just really depends on the type of plant. But with Hoyas, I could technically, I think, probably chop most of those roots off, stick it into some semi-hydro and it would be fine. I just don't want to waste them if I can use them. As I say, I am just being very impatient. Okay, I think that will do. I know it's not perfect, but I've got as much as I possibly can off. So that's going to be my main section. And then, as I've already shown you, it's got incredible aerial roots on it just because the cabinet I've been keeping it in has had such high humidity. But the good thing with that is that I, in theory, should be able to now chop the whole thing up. And when I pot it on, it will just, I mean, it's already got roots. It's technically already rooted, so it should just start putting out new growth pretty quickly. It's a Hoya and it's not the fastest Hoya in the world, but fairly quickly. And as I say, I'm going to use semi-hydro, and I think I'm just going to use a little humus tub. I've done this for a few Hoyas recently and it's worked pretty well. Again, don't have drainage because I'm just going to monitor the reservoir, which I wouldn't do if I was growing in soil or anything like that. But for the mix that I'm going to use, it's going to be fine, I think. Yeah, I'll fill it to about there. And then, in fact, the one that's got a big old root system, I might put that one a little bit lower in. And then plant all my others a little bit higher. Cool, and then I'll just add a little reservoir at the bottom, and already it's looking so much more gorgeous and full, and when it grows now it will give me lots of new growth points. It won't just be coming from one as it was before, like it was kind of like one long vine before, and this will hopefully create a much bigger, fuller plant in the long run, because I love how splashy this one is. I can't kind of hold it up and show you it in the way I want to now, but without spilling it everywhere, but just look how gorgeous those leaves are. So yeah, it's one that I'm really excited about, but it has just been quite neglected and shoved to one side. So hopefully now I can appreciate it a little bit more. And then the last thing that I wanted to do here is the other day when I made the video about moving Ross in, which I had so much fun making. I had so much fun putting that video together. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video because we had so much fun. But this is the plant that I was working with. This is one of Ross's Tradescantias. It's a Tradescantia zebrina, and thank you so much to those of you that commented with reasons why it might be looking like this. I think you're totally right. It is down to light, and that's kind of what I suspected, but I wasn't quite sure. So thank you for confirming. And also, interestingly enough, since I filmed that video, the growth it started putting out is much more silvery, because some of you were saying maybe it's a completely different type of Tradescantia, and like I knew it was a zebrina because it looked like that all over when we first got it. But yeah, it's just, I think because of the lighting it's been in, it hasn't been as pronounced, and yeah, now that it's living here, it's starting to look a bit more like that again. But a lot of you were saying that I should have just put these cuttings that I'm propagating in water, I should have just planted them straight into the soil of this plant, and that's how you do it. I'm not the best with Tradescantia. I've only got one, no, I've got two in my collection. One of them I am getting rid of though, because I've fallen out of love with that plant. But I'm gonna just pot them in here. I've had them in water for, oh my goodness. I've had them in water for less than a week, but they're rooting really quite well already. I mean, I know they can be a very fast plant to root, but yeah, I'm gonna just pop them straight in with this one. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of soil, and then yeah, stick them in there and hope for the best. And I could put this in an actual pot now. I don't know why, I'm just really enjoying growing things in cups at the moment. I think pretty much every single new plant I've had recently has ended up in a cup. Probably just because I have so many of them, as we have seen whilst organising my cupboard of chaos. But yeah, cool. I'm gonna just pop these new cuttings in, try and be gentle on the little root system that they've got. It's amazing how they've done this so quickly. Ooh, I just broke off a bit there, so maybe I'll just stick that at the top. And now trying to put the soil in is going to be a little bit of a mission, because there's not a lot of space to get in, so I might just have to do a lot of patting and hope that it gets in there somehow. Okay, perfect. I think that is all of them covered. And again, I'll just give it a water through afterwards, but oh my goodness, already that looks so much fuller and so much better. I know some of you have asked how I'm coping with all of Ross's colourful plants in the house now, because as I think we've already established in this video, I'm a little bit weird about like just some colours, not all colours, but pinks and purples. Not this kind of pink, this kind of pink's all right, but like bright pinks and purples can just be a little bit jarring for me sometimes. And I think I'm getting better. I think I'm getting better because there's a lot of things, not even just plant related, there's a lot of like, I'm sure they have a better name, but like models that Ross has got, like Funko Pops and stuff like that. Things that I typically wouldn't choose for myself and are a little bit out of my comfort colour zone. But I think I'm doing pretty well. So we're getting used to it. And also his plants do live on his plant shelf at the moment, which is through in the bedroom, which I'm not mad about, but that's me being a control freak. So anyway, I will give that back to Ross after the video, put it back on his shelf. And the last thing I wanted to do is just get into my cabinet, because I haven't properly got into there in a while, have a look over everything, see if there's any updates to give you, see if anything needs watering, see if anything needs pruning. I'm hoping nothing needs pest treating, but we will see. So yeah, let's do that. I just got temporarily sidetracked looking at propagations, and so I thought I'd just quickly bring you over and then we will get back to cabinet watering. But I've got my white princess philodendron here, and this one is one that I almost potted up a while ago, and then I decided not to because I was waiting for the others to be ready, and I think they're all now at a similar stage. As you can see, it's got amazing roots in there, so I would love to get this potted up. I don't know if today's going to be the day. I know it's not a pressing thing that needs doing like immediately compared to some other things, but I just miss my white princess. Like, my collection doesn't quite feel complete without her because she was such a staple plant in my collection. If you haven't been on my channel that long, then my white princess was literally, at one point she was almost the size of me, and her leaves were ginormous, and I chopped her up a few months ago now, and I'm essentially starting from scratch with her. So yeah, hopefully in a video soon I'll be able to get a huge lovely big plant going. And then I've got some others here. To be honest, I need to rehydrate quite a lot of these propagations. I've got a Philodendron Jerry Horn, which I don't know how I feel about, to be completely honest. I'm kind of a bit back and forth with the Jerry Horn. I've got rid of quite a few sections of it. I've tried propagating in lots of different ways. I've just kind of used it a little bit as an experiment plant because I just currently am not that fussed by it. Quite often I will feel that way about a plant, and then when it starts to grow and kind of give me some interesting stuff, then I'll start feeling differently about it. But yeah, currently it's just kind of there. It's fine. I've got the top cut of my Anthurium SP Lemon here as well, which I don't think has started doing anything yet. I would be very surprised if it had. And I was going to cabinet this one, and I didn't. And I don't really know why. But yeah, it's just there. Ooh. And then I've got a Sansevieria, a snake plant, a moon... is it moonshine? Is it moonshine? Yes, it's moonshine. That's putting out pups and has been ready to be potted up for such a long time, and I haven't done it. Oh, and I can see it's getting a little bit gross towards the back, so in fact I should probably do, I would probably say a hydrogen peroxide treatment and then get that potted ASAP. Okay, that one is going to be put to the side and I will deal with that. And should we have a very quick look inside my main prop box while we're here as well, because I feel like that's something I haven't done in ages. And because Ross is working in this room quite a lot now, I haven't been in here doing planty stuff as much as I used to be, so it's quite exciting when I get a moment to just come through and have a look. But oh my goodness, stuff in here is growing like crazy. I've got another bit of my white princess just there. Oh my god, look how beautiful and shiny that leaf is. Prop box leaves, honestly, I swear to god you can't beat them, because obviously they're grown in such high humidity levels. They all just look so lovely and conditioned. This little marmee I've got down here. And I've said it before, but I'm not like, looking at it here, I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. But I've not had the most luck growing a marmite outside of a prop box. I've struggled with pests. I don't know, I've just kind of been back and forth. And so I'm a little bit reluctant to take this one out. And also because it's a crawling plant, it takes up so much space and I don't really have space for another trough planter. So I don't know really, maybe I'm waiting for it to find a new home. I don't know. And then I've just got lots of random things in here. I've got my, oh, what's this called? This is the Hoya Crimson Queen, that's the one. I put this in here a very long time ago. In fact, I put several sections of it in, and they are all very much rooting, similar to the aerial roots on my Hoya from earlier, but look at those. So yeah, and then I've got my semi-hydro pond prop box over there. I really need to sit down and go through, in fact I lie, it's that one. I need to sit down and go through all of my prop boxes at some point and kind of get stuff potted up and then get some new ones going as well, because I've got a little bit more space to play with now. And I'm really excited to get some new propagations in new boxes. That's what I'm saying. Also, I used my label maker and made a propagation sticker. Yay. Okay, right, let's fill the watering can and let's get on with cabinet stuff, shall we? I've got some nematodes here that are just about to go out of date, and I'm going to add them to my watering can because the fungus gnat issue I was experiencing before is more under control, but I do still have the odd one. I say the odd one or two. I do still on a daily basis find myself trying to get fungus gnats. So I'm going to add these to my watering can. And just give them a little mix around and make sure they're all dissolved in there. And oh my goodness, Ross found this so weird. He went into the fridge, I think looking for dips, and he came out with this the other day and he was like, what is it? And I was like, they're nematodes. And he was like, is that the thing you eat? And I was like, no, they're technically microscopic worms. And he was like, oh my God. He was like, Claire, why were they next to the cheese? My fridge is not organised. Maybe I need to organise my fridge next. But yeah, they are a very effective method for getting rid of fungus gnats. They basically attack the fungus gnats when they're in their immature like larvae stage, when they're still living in the soil, and mean that they can't breed. So although they don't kill the existing fungus gnats, I tend to use yellow sticky traps to do that. I don't like doing it, but sometimes you've got to. It just means that they can't keep multiplying. So yep, I tend to just give my soil a water through with this. I mean, like as often as I can, to be honest. I mean, they've got lots of benefits being in your soil besides just fungus gnat pest control. But yeah, I've already got some liquid gold leaf in there. I'm just going to fill the rest up with water, and then we can get going. I know I've literally just filled my watering can, but it's also just stopped raining, so I'm kind of thinking maybe I should try and get Joli out for her walk now and dodge the rain. So I'm going to do that. I might film a little bit when I'm out. It might be too wet to film. I might get soaked, but I'm going to go and take her out now and then come back, and then we can get into my cabinet. Go walkies. Oh my goodness, all of the trees are really starting to turn now. It feels so autumny, and I know I was saying earlier in this video that like, oh God, we're coming into the winter months, but I do love this time of year. I love like putting on a big snuggly coat and coming out when it's crisp and cold, and then going home and getting snuggly and making a cup of tea and doing planty things, which is I think exactly what I'm gonna do now. So yeah, dodge the rain at least. Just got back from a very muddy walk, and oh my goodness, it's getting dark already. This is the thing that I don't like about this time of year, because I love, like as I just said, I really like autumn weather in a lot of ways, but it's the light that we lose. It's crazy, literally. It's almost dark already and it feels like I've just woken up. So yeah, I'm just gonna make something nice and hot to drink, warm up, and then get into my cabinet. So I'm not gonna go through every single plant in my cabinet just because oh hello, hello Gelly. I made a video fairly recently. Hello. What are you doing? Oh my god, why are you going manic now? We've just been out. Completely lost my train of thought. I made a video recently where I went through pretty much, I think, everything I've got in here and I kind of talked you through it. I'm just looking today for anything that might need, oh my god, I need to oil that door. Anything that might need a little bit of attention. I popped my Esqueleto back in there. And I'm interested, oh, I see something straight away. Oh my goodness. Okay. You see that new leaf on the Alocasia? Why is the camera not focusing? There we go. You see that? That is a mealybug. Okay, that's frustrating. I really thought I'd got all the mealybugs in my cabinet. I'm going to put that to one side and I'm going to give that a proper inspection afterwards. Yeah, I can't see anything else. But I have struggled with mealybugs in my cabinet fairly recently. So yeah, I want to make sure that there are no more. So I'm going to give everything a little check over and hope that that was just a one-off. I'm sure it probably wasn't, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt for now. On the bright side with the plant that had mealybugs, it's my Alocasia Regal Shield. And look at its roots since I transferred it into this bigger tower pot. That was only, I want to say only a few weeks ago. It has just gone crazy. And the rest of the plant looks really healthy. So yeah, as I say, I hope that was just a one lone mealybug. Oh, and yay, finally. So my Philodendron Martianum is the one that hasn't been doing anything for me in such a long time. And I didn't know why, because when I first got it, it was a really slow grower. Slow grower? Fast grower. When I first got it, it was really fast. And then for the last kind of 6 months, it's been ridiculously slow. But it is giving me a new leaf currently, which is very exciting. I don't know why Joli's being so sniffy. She's had a T, she's had a W. What is it, baby girl? What is it? You just want to cuddle. You just want to cuddle. Is that what you want? No, you've got a different... What do you want? She wants her tea, I think. Different kind of tea. We have to code word everything because she knows all the names. I think she's looking for her dinner, but we will do that in a little while because it's still a little while to go yet, baby girl. Okay, just wait till I finish this, Joli, please. Is she looking at me? I can feel, I can look at her. I can feel her eyes on me. I'm just scanning everything for mealybugs now. I can't see any others. This is my Philodendron painted lady that I chopped up fairly recently, and it is giving me, they gave me that weird wonky leaf that I'm not unconvinced was pest related. I couldn't see any pests, but it kind of looks like it could be pesty. But it's giving me what looks to be quite a healthy new leaf there. And I really hope that it is. There's kind of pros and cons to when things go very wrong in a cabinet environment, because often it is contained and it means that you can kind of separate it from the rest of your collection. But it does usually mean that unless you catch it very, very early on, most of the plants, because it is a contained space, most of the plants, or commonly, are affected. Oh my goodness, also things in here are just drying out. Joli, would you stop it, please? Thank you. Things in here are drying out so quickly. And I think that's probably just because we've had the heating on. It hasn't been like mega warm. But maybe it's me also just feeling like at this time of year, I shouldn't be having to water as much as I am, if that makes sense. And I keep hoping that I'm going to be able to give you a really exciting update on my Anthurium Regal. But currently that growth point doesn't seem to have done anything else since I last showed you it. I have, as I say, potted it in a taller tower pot now. And I'm hoping that's going to be helping the plant. It's got a nice reservoir there that I don't need to fill today. Yeah, I really hope that next leaf is a lovely one without any damage on it. I just want to have a nice leaf from this plant. I mean, that leaf from here doesn't look too bad. And I mean, I always say it, I know that plants aren't meant to be perfect, but the leaf it had when I first got this plant was so gorgeous. And it just died off pretty much immediately. In fact, those were imported plants. My Regal and my Morocquianum were both imports. Although I didn't directly import them myself, they were from Ecuagenera. And I got them at the Rare Plant Festival last year. So yeah, it kind of makes sense why I've had issues with them as well. I'm not blaming this all on importing. I think it's partly down to me just not striking the right balance, but both times there have also been big periods of acclimation that need to happen. And this is my Epiphyllum ackermanii, and it's currently looking very, very floppy. Honestly, this is probably the most dramatic epiphyllum I've ever encountered. Typically, it takes a lot for them to go this shriveled, but this one, whenever I miss a watering, just tends to, I don't know, they're usually very drought tolerant. This one, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is. Oh, and this is kind of funky. In fact, this is really weird. So I showed you this plant when I did my big cabinet watering session recently, but I positioned it in a slightly different position after showing you it. So this is the, oh my God, I always want to call this one the Hoya tangamoose, but it's not. This is the Hoya globulosa Welsh Mountain Zoo. And before, when I showed you, it was looking pretty much like this. And because I've put it on my shelf facing the other way, that leaf has turned and it's facing a completely different direction. Which, I mean, to be honest, if it grows well like that, I will let it do its thing. It is such a weird Hoya, it really is. And I can't remember if I've shown you this one yet or not. I don't think I have, but this is another one that I got for my birthday from my friend Lottie. It's a Lepismium cruciform, I think it's called. It has got the name here. Cruciform. But yeah, I love Lepismium. The ones I've got in my collection are some of my favourite plants. I love jungle cacti. And this one is just really weird and really cool. And it's starting to trail and I'm very, very excited about it. So yeah, I think I'm going to start it off in my cabinet and then probably get it going as just like a hanging plant in my living room. It is one that likes quite high light, so probably quite near the window, but I just think it is so cool. It's also got some amazing aerial roots up here. They're really hard to show you because they're kind of paper thin. The camera isn't focusing for some reason, but you can take my word for it. There are very nice aerial roots there. So if I wanted to chop and propagate this plant, I think I probably could do so quite easily. And what else needs attention? I think everything else on the bottom level, I'm going to obviously go through and do a pest check of everything, but I feel like that's not that fun to do on camera because it will just be me sitting and going through every single leaf. I'm going to do that probably this evening in my pyjamas. That feels like the right thing to do. But everything else in here, oh, one of my little Anthurium clarinervium babies is looking a little bit, it's looking okay. Not looking as good as I remember it looking before. But yeah, I think everything else in this cabinet is actually fairly okay. I thought there was going to be a lot more to get on top of, and it's looking pretty good. I know I haven't got into the top level, but I did actually water the top level and give things a check about 3 days ago, so I wouldn't have thought a huge amount has changed in that time. But yeah, oh, while I'm here, I'll show you one more that I haven't shown you before. Oh, have I shown you it before? I can't remember if I showed you this in the plant swap video or not. I'm having a total mind blank, but I'm going to show you again. It's a little Pothos Enjoy, and I just think it is adorable. Like, don't get me wrong, I know that this is considered to be quite a common house plant, but I just think it is one that is beautiful, and it's one that I've never had that much luck with in the past. I think just because it's a very slow growing plant. I'm quite an impatient person. It has been neglected, and then I've killed many a pothos enjoy in my time. But I'm going to really give it a go with this one. I'm thinking about semi-hydro because I did get the Mandula pothos that I got at the last before last London plant swap. I put that one into semi-hydro, and it's so easy to monitor, even though it is a very slow growing one. I feel like I'm staying on top of caring for it. So I think that is probably what I'm going to do for this one. But yeah, I think considering there's not as much as I thought to do in here, and I am losing the lights now, instead of moving on to something else, I think I might finish this video here. But this has been a lovely long plant chores stint with you guys today. I've genuinely really enjoyed it, and I feel like I've got a lot done. So if you were doing stuff along with this video, as always, I hope you've got lots done as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.